Last year, I made a video defending the character of Tina from Halloween 5, and although I was completely prepared for a hate storm, to my surprise, the response was actually really positive.
So today, I'm going to double down and talk about the 8th installment of the Friday the 13th film series, aka Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, aka my favorite one.
Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, New York has a new problem.
In a nutshell, the film is about a group of high school graduates who are on a boat going from Crystal Lake to New York. Apparently, there are some lakes out there that do actually get you to the ocean, so I'm going to leave this one alone. Anyways, Jason gets on the boat and begins wreaking havoc. The boat ends up sinking, but a remaining few wind up on a raft and end up in New York. Unfortunately, Jason is right behind them, and his mayhem continues in the Big Apple.
Interesting concept, but the execution? It left a lot to be desired.
If you mention this film to someone who's already seen it, it's pretty much a guarantee that they're going to rant and rave that the majority of the film takes place on the boat, and only a small portion of the film takes place in New York. And New York needs to be in quotation marks, because the majority of the New York scenes were actually shot in Vancouver.
And yeah, that's a pretty big problem for a film when the city of New York is the main selling point.
It's pretty well documented that budgeting issues led to this result, and the original script contained everything the viewing audience would have wanted.
My first draft of the script had a big chase scene across the Brooklyn Bridge. There was a lot more stuff that we just couldn't afford to do.
And I cannot deny that if we ended up with that film, it would have been so much better than the film we ended up with. So why do I like this one so much?
There were 7 before, obviously, and they all took place in Crystal Lake, right? So the first question I asked them was, does it have to be in Crystal Lake? Can I take Jason out of Crystal Lake?
After 7 films in the forest, Friday the 13th Part 8 dared to do something different. And say what you will about it, even on the boat you get a new scenery that wasn't there in previous films.
Now, could this film have been better even with its limited budget? Oh yeah, definitely.
Nowadays, New York is seen as kind of gross, but pretty okay, except the fact that rent prices are astronomical.
What does this place go for?
So, right now, these are between $10.95 and $11.95.
But in the 1980s, New York had a very turbulent reputation.
The city, when I came in, was on the edge of bankruptcy, and people thought we would not recover.
We were a city coming out of a series of crises, enormous economic crisis, a school system that was in collapse, political institutions that seemed to be failing the people and not meeting their needs, old, fashionable, beautiful, noble neighborhoods falling apart.
Granted, I was never in New York in the 1980s, but I'm fairly certain that even as bad as New York was, this was an exaggeration. But you know what? It works. I love this dystopian city that was created, where toxic waste flows like rivers and crime is so out of control that the citizens are just desensitized by it.
You don't understand. There is a maniac trying to kill us. Welcome to New York.
And although they couldn't shoot New York as much as they wanted to, I wish they leaned into this world that they created, because it's so out there, it doesn't need to be shot in New York. I stand by what I said before, Jason wreaking havoc on a ship is interesting, but I'll admit that I would have preferred more of this. I get why people don't like this movie. It's not Jason Taking Manhattan, but if you can get past the fact that the title is misleading, it's an overall enjoyable film. Sure, it's not perfect, but it doesn't feel like it was a shameless cash grab. From the scenery to the lighting, it really does feel like the filmmakers were trying here. And can we just take a minute to appreciate the song from the opening credits?
Angels lead to the street. It's an empty desert, and
talk about setting up the atmosphere.
It's like this. We live in claustrophobia. A land of steel and concrete, trapped by dark waters. There is no escape, nor do we want it. We've come to thrive on it, and each other.
This is not Jason terrorizing the Big Apple. Fine, but it's different, and it's interesting, and at times, it's even visually engaging.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, head on over to my website. In the film recommendation section, I have 2 new videos ready for the Halloween season. I have one video about the film Ogre, and another video about the film The Pool, which internationally is known as Swimming Pool. So be sure to check those out and so much more at vidinsd.com. And as for here, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and as always, until next time.